Good evening, friends and foes. I am not Willow Schuyler. Shocking, I know. I am the prophet of pop culture, John Pyka. You can call me Johnny. I'm filling in tonight for Willow. And tonight, we have a very special guest in the virtual treehouse to talk and tell campfire stories. And we're going to do that right after this. Oh, yeah, that's smoking. And hey, while we're in the treehouse, you got to have a snack. And I'm enjoying some Halloween Fruity Pebbles because it is spooky season here in the virtual treehouse in the rec room. And joining me is our regular co host. She's coming to you live from an undisclosed location in Illinois. On the back 40 of her haunted farm, it is the one, the only, Keisha Acuff. Hey, what's going on, Acuff?
I feel like I should have put more effort into that. I don't know. Maybe I should have wore fangs or something.
That
but
would be
hi.
hard for you to do. I mean, you were part of a vampire cult.
I do have fangs, but they don't fit correctly because my teeth are too, I don't know, little. I don't know what to call it, but they were too big for my mouth, which is surprising.
That's what she said.
Johnny, hey, PG, man, PG.
Hey, you're the one who just made the innuendo. I just said that's what she said. What you meaning you put to that is up to you. I can't help your dirty mind, Miss Mormon wearing the magic underwear, dirty-minded chick on the farm.
Hey, don't put it. Magic underwear is very comfy. Okay. We'll just put that out there.
But can anyone else appreciate how entirely accurate that description was?
I just almost died by a Swiffer.
All right. Well, we have a very special. And was that thrown at you by a demon-possessed child or a ghost?
You know what? Actually, at this point, I have no idea. It could have been both. A demon-possessed child. Ghost.
And you named your demon-possessed child with the perfect name for a demon-possessed child. I think Dolores is the perfect name. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. Especially since I nicknamed her Dolly, short for Dolores. So,
Oh, my goodness.
She's a haunted doll.
Oh, my goodness. So, hey, Keisha, we have a very special guest joining us tonight. And I'm going to bring him in before we get to the comments. Well, Carl Witzman says, what is this show? This show is Cryptid Crunch, Carl. And this is a spin-off of Back of the Cereal Box, where we talk about cryptids, the paranormal, and the supernatural, and sometimes extraterrestrial nature. And tonight we're going to be sharing campfire stories. Thank you, Carl. I'm not used to hosting this show, so I need all the help I can get. And
I am zero help. So
well, yeah, this we know. Now, look, everyone watching, they're going to be like, why is Johnny being so mean to Keisha?
Have you met me? It's very easy to do.
Yeah, look, I've not said anything that has not come out of Keisha's own mouth. And that's why we love her. That's what she said. All right. Anyway, Carl said, I didn't see Cryptid Crunch on the title. It's right in the screen there, Carl.
Yeah, but it's behind our faces. Oh, yeah, it's up in the corner
Up
too.
in the corner, yeah.
Guys, I am a natural blonde.
And wait, was there not in the intro? Was there not let me see. Hold on. Just I'm gonna play this again. Yeah, right there. Right there it was.
He may have gotten in late too.
Maybe. Anyway, it's time to welcome in our guest. Please welcome storyteller extraordinaire, Mr. Reese Twilla. Reese,
hello.
welcome to the virtual Treehouse Encrypted Crunch. Now, everyone watching, Reese is a new friend of mine. He is a fellow ghost tour guide downtown Nashville, recent graduate of, is it Lipscomb University?
Yeah, Lipscomb, acting and directing. That's my thing.
Yeah, but Reese is a cryptid fanatic, Keisha. And
he would love my house. Come on.
Oh
well,
my goodness.
We're gonna tell all those stories tonight. And Reese was just recently at the Mothman Festival.
Yes.
In Point Pleasant, West Virginia. What was that? Last week? 2 weeks ago?
I think it was 2 weekends ago, but man, was it gorgeous out there.
Tell everyone
West Virginia.
Yeah, up in Point Pleasant. It was beautiful over in West Virginia. It was my first time being in West Virginia, but the weather in the mornings and at night, there was constantly.
I used to live there. It was gorgeous.
Oh yes, the fog just rolling down the hills and then off the Ohio River. It was beautiful. It was like going out into the middle of nowhere and watching like the world disappear around you as you drove. It was so gorgeous. Just it really set the mood for our adventure. And then driving over the bridge, the Silver Bridge, to get into Point Pleasant and having like the fog on each side of the bridge. It was real wary. You had no idea what was going to happen. But the festival turnout, I think it was one of the biggest they've ever had. There was definitely upwards of 2,000, 3,000 people, like just in the city square alone. And for those of you that have been to Point Pleasant, it is a small town. It is. There were like 5 or 6 other stores open. Like all of these like old antique stores were trying to get people in by being like, we sell Mothman ornaments. They were doing what they could. They're like, do you want this piece of wood that I painted Mothman on?
Honestly, I would fall for all of that.
I did. I had to have so much discretion because I have never been to like a cryptid con or anything like that. I thought I was like a lone weirdo, but it turns out, they have whole conventions for this sort of thing. Exactly. Hello. It was amazing.
So what was the most amazing thing that happened at the Mothman Festival? Did you see Mothman?
On our hayride tour, they did have a Mothman rigged up on top of one of the old TNT plants that flew down at our little tour group, which is fun. And then another guy jumped out of the woods in like a whole camo suit, freaked us out a lot more. But I loved the statue.
That guy in the camo suit, he wasn't part of the tour. He was just some psychopath that was trying to,
He thought we were Mothman. He was waiting.
Yeah.
I would honestly be the psychopath that would just be like, "Oh, dude, yes," and I would dress up in everything.
Exactly. My best friend and I, we started driving around the farm area, and we had a big like spotlight flashlight, and I was just shining, looking for red eye shine anywhere. I know he hasn't been seen over there in a while. But I feel bad because I'm sure I signed into like a lot of like farmers' houses and woke up old Bertha in her bedroom with our flashlight. But honestly, we had to look for him.
I just think it was aliens. So, like,
yeah,
West Virginia is a different breed. I'm just telling you that. I loved living there, and if I ever had the chance to go back and live there, I mean, I love my haunted house that I live in now, but like if I had to pick another state to live in, it would be West Virginia. I just loved it there. But they are a different type of breed. Like
There
honestly,
we
I
yeah.
would have thought it was if I was still living there, I would have just been like, oh, light flashing in my window, aliens, because you don't get normal reactions out there. It's all
Mm-mm.
cryptid. Like I had a goat jump in front of my car one time when I was driving down the road, and I could have sworn that it was some sort of beast or something like that. It was a goat, I think. But I'm going with a
Who's
beast.
to say?
Yeah.
Be a shapeshifter? Was
See?
it a black goat?
I did not get out of the car because I'm smarter than that. It was on the back roads of like hilly West Virginia. So the roads are like this thin. Your car takes up 95% of it. And
Mm-hmm.
there's no way to go around that goat. So I just had to sit and wait for that goat to pass. And pray
It's an
that
omen.
nothing ate us while we were sitting and waiting. We were late to illegally go into the bar that night. Because the goat.
So for those of you who have never seen this show before, and we have new viewers and listeners every week, and Reese, you've never seen our show, you've never met Keisha, I'm just going to tell you that Keisha is maybe one of the most fascinating people I've ever met.
I believe it. I can tell already.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you.
Yes. She could tell stories about just what has happened to her on her farm in an undisclosed town in Illinois all night. She could talk about this all night. And Truth Finder UK says, "Hi, bro. Ready to get trolled by me and my viewers of 7,000? Bring it on.
Go for
Bring
it.
the trolls.
I
Come
love
here.
it.
Come here.
Yeah.
Literally, they could do nothing to hurt me or my feelings or anything like that. So I'm like, let's do this.
I'm new to this. Go easy.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah. For those of you that don't know, our official hashtag for the show is actually Keisha Be Crazy.
Hashtag Keisha Be Crazy. And we have Dan Holyfield is watching. Good evening, folks, he says. Hello, Dan.
Hi.
Howdy.
Dan's one of my favorites. I'm going to say that about everybody so it doesn't hurt their feelings.
And Eli Cash comments, hashtag cryptids, hashtag ghost stories, hashtag campfire.
Eli's okay.
Truer words were never spoken.
And Eli actually kicks us off with a story tonight. Tonight we're going to be telling stories that you would tell around the campfire or in the treehouse to scare all your other friends or just creep them out. And Keisha will be sharing true life stories about what has happened in her house on her property as late as this afternoon. But Eli posts, "Nothing good ever comes from the hills on Halloween. Mr. Johnson's neighbor warned after decorating his new house in West Virginia for his first October in the new neighborhood. You best have your lights out and curtains closed before nightfall, you hear?" Marking this off as typical Southern superstition, Mr. Johnson put the finishing touches on his house, which sticks out like a sore thumb among the other houses. As nightfall came, he waited patiently for trick-or-treaters to show, but
That's all we get.
The story, Eli.
That is all we get, end. Eli.
Eli left us on a cliffhanger.
I'm on pins and needles. Pins
Edge
and
of
needles.
My seat.
Oh my gosh. Donna Carleen says, "Hey guys." And Reese, this is how this show works. Our viewers are interacting with us live as we're doing this.
Sweet.
It's live theater via the interwebs. How cool
we love
is
live
that?
Theater.
Also, Reese, I don't know you well enough yet, but welcome to the ADHD club. We have this train that we try to keep on tracks.
Yeah.
It never works ever, whatsoever. So enjoy.
I can't wait.
We got the rest of our story, guys.
Oh! And Eli adds, as nightfall came, he waited patiently for trick-or-treaters to show, but no one and nothing came until 10 p.m. Trick-or-treat is over at 8. Until a howling coffin creeped along his driveway, looking for poor souls, or for a poor soul that is awake at this hour, a fresh occupant for its wooden maw on All Hallows Eve.
So I just want to interject here and say I'm safe because I am in bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock on most nights. Good luck to all you people that stay up past that.
And he adds, from Eli T. Cash, the frightened man turned his back from the window, fearing it may be a prank. As he made it for the stairs, he heard the doors burst with the coffin lurching forward with howling, growling louder. This isn't happening, Mr. Johnson thought as he blinked, but the moment he'd done the latter, the coffin made it on top of the stairs, howling and wailing as loud as it is ghastly. Wait a minute. How's the coffin getting up the stairs on its own?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
There's something missing from this story here, Eli. Is the coffin alive? Is the coffin sentient? Does the coffin sense the fear of its victims?
Does it stomp its way as it goes? Or does it have like arms and legs, like a spider?
And if it had arms and legs, that would be truly horrifying.
That would be terrible.
Like spider legs.
On a coffin.
Okay, so I'm writing this down because I'm going to
paint this.
Gonna have to paint this now.
Ooh. When my mind immediately thinks that sounds like a good D&D monster, you know, you're in the middle of a funeral.
I had the same thought.
Well,
also,
Eli
I
posted
D&D,
the rest of the story.
Go for it.
He says, locking himself in the bathroom with scissors in hand, he cried and prayed for the horrid thing to leave. As the coffin banged and howled at the door, sending chills up his spine, it only became worse when he heard two voices sounding downstairs. The voices he wished he could have told to leave. Trick or treat! Fear overcame Mr. Johnson. How he wished he could have saved the late night trick or treaters from the coffin. But what began as a jovial trick or treat and jackpot, referring to his bowl of candy, ended only in screams and wails that could rival the howls of the walking coffin. So it's walking. A walking coffin now occupied with not one, but two. Two what?
Oh no. We have
2 kids.
Oh,
2 children.
Wait, hold on. You know what? Something just happened. I turned off my
Oh, Johnny, we can not hear you.
Check.
There he goes.
Check.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna have to turn them back on. I don't know what just happened. But now we know that the coffin was walking. So it had legs, right?
I'm betting on the spider legs because I want to see that now.
Yeah, it could have like a pseudopod, like a tongue that comes out and pulls its way up too.
Yes.
That'd be cool. It said it had a maw, like a maw mouth.
Yeah, I mean this is not your average run of the mill coffin that we're talking about here.
You know what? My kids have a play coffin and they love it. I imagine.
Wait, what? Wait.
Pardon?
Wait. You cannot just say that and move on. There are questions that must be answered now. Your children have a play coffin. I mean, you said it so casually, like it's just something every child has.
It's a pop. It's a pop-up coffin. Do you not have a pop-up coffin? Okay, is this not a normal thing for people to have?
No, it's not.
It's like a foldable one that it's a full size. I've been in it, but like, okay. So, it's like, you know, those pop-up tents that just like pop up for kids. We have a pop-up coffin.
Wait, who makes this and who do they make it for? Because listen, Carl Witzman just said, Holy crap! And
Oh,
True,
listen,
Carl.
if Uncle Carl is startled, this is troubling, Keisha.
Is it for a pop-up funeral? For a little pop-up surprise?
Surprise!
That's actually hilarious, I think. Okay, so but I back to what I was saying, guys. So we have a pop-up. Y'all are killing me. Okay.
Get
a
right
play
past it.
a play coffin that the children just
A play
play in.
coffin. Obviously, everybody needs one in their lives.
Mhm.
But I'm going to put spider legs on it now.
As you should.
And a maw.
Exactly.
I'm just, kids, they like playing house, they like playing dress up, they like playing morgue attendant, the three big things that kids love doing.
At least you know my children. Look at this.
Oh.
Hello.
Reese, that is Dolores.
Hello, Dolores.
And
She is possessed on most nights.
most nights, Dolores is a perfect name for a possessed child. She was named aptly. And look, she revels in it just like her mom.
You know what? I thought I was going
Beautiful.
to have normal children, and then I realized apparently you can't have normal children when you're not normal yourself. I had high hopes, though.
Carl Witzman asks, I hope this is a decoration, talking about the play coffin.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
Yeah. It's not functional. We don't use it every weekend. Why would you think that?
It's not weird. Dolores' favorite thing to do is talk to ghosts. So, I mean, what's a coffin gonna do?
It's happened live on the show, Reese.
Oh, wow.
She's seen figures move and heard voices while live. It's
Ooh.
it's what you do on a Sunday night.
Of course. Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere.
Obviously. So you guys wanted spooky,
Illinois.
scary stories, just follow my life. It's okay.
Yeah. So I got a story to tell. And Carl Witzman says, Reese, I'm a retired counselor, and I am so glad that I'm retired now because he helps Keisha write and edit her books. And he is probably the person closest to you outside your immediate family, Keisha, and he didn't know you had a play coffin. Are we seeing anything like a little bit askew here?
Nah, we're good.
Okay. All right.
Nah, I keep my play coffin a secret too, honestly.
You guys, for my entire adult life, I keep a literal mace next to my door and use it as an alarm system.
That's normal.
No, a mace.
Yeah,
okay, like a Viking mace.
Yeah, and when my husband first met me, he said, "Why is there a mace by your door?" I said, "It's my alarm system." He goes, "How is that going to work?" I said, "If I hit somebody with an alarm, or if I hit somebody with the mace, obviously they're going to scream loud." Can you not lick me? Thanks. Obviously they're going to scream loud enough to alert everyone else. So I call it my alarm system.
That's fair. I was thinking you would like prop it up against the door and then it would fall if somebody broke in. But then you're arming them with a mace.
No,
I've got a samurai sword next to my bed.
Oh, me too. I've also got a machete.
And
I've got to invest in some heavy weaponry to catch up.
I've got a samurai sword and a Colt 45 6-shot single action army revolver.
I have a pink gun because I asked for it for Christmas one year, like any normal human being. I said that way if anybody ever breaks in my house and I shoot them, I could be like, "How do you feel now that you've been shot with a pink gun?" Because obviously I would not shoot to kill. I would just like aim for the kneecaps or something.
Keisha, I hate to interrupt you, but am I the only one that's hearing creepy children's music?
You're fine. It's okay.
I think it just stopped.
That's like really happening, right, Keisha?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You're
All
fine.
right, Dolores, welcome to the show. We're just gonna have to make her an official co-host. All right, so got a couple more comments, and then Reese, I'm gonna let you tell a campfire story.
Sure.
Yes.
Dan Holyfield says, one Halloween when I was in high school, I built a coffin out of scrap wood. It had a glove stuffed with paper bags hanging out one side and a tape recorder inside playing spooky sounds. That's fantastic. I love that. Now
Love it, Dan.
you could just buy that whole kit at Spirit Halloween and just do you don't have to build anything. But Eli T. Cash says, I've been scratched by a ghost on Town Square while hanging out with Johnny. That's me. That was before I found out Gallatin was the center of a lot of hangings back in the day. Okay, so the town where I live, Gallatin, Tennessee, was a stronghold for the Union armies during the Civil War. And the general of the Union armies that occupied Gallatin, Tennessee was General Payne. True story. And he was an evil, vicious man. And he was an evil, vicious man. And if he even suspected someone of being a Confederate sympathizer, he would execute them in the square by hanging.
Oof.
750 people were hanged in the town square of Gallatin, Tennessee, where I live. That's pretty intense. That town is haunted. And Carl Witzman said, yep, I knew about the machete. Donna Carleen says, you worry about my swords and axes, Carl. And Eli T. Cash says, other than usual voices in my head, yeah, Johnny, I hear the music too. And
thank God.
Yeah, Eli, we all know about the voices in your head. I hear voices in my head. They talk to me. They understand.
The creepy children's music is obviously coming from my house.
Well, we're going to put Reese center stage here. And Reese, it's your turn to tell us a spooky campfire story of your choosing. It can be true, it can be false, it can be from your real life experience, whatever you want. Lay it on us, brother.
Well, I have two. I have two true stories that I want to tell. One is more a legend that I know from Russian history, but one is my own story. So I might start with that one, and we'll see if there's time for the other one.
Do both.
Sure. So I was an actor as a kid. You know, I did that all through middle school, through high school, college. That was my thing. But when I was in high school, my senior year, we moved schools. The church that was like with our school built a new school on an old Native American burial ground in San Antonio, Texas. I was surrounded a lot by people who knew the paranormal a lot. A lot of Hispanic families specifically would tell me about, you know, legends and things from down south in the border of Texas and Mexico. But specifically where we set up ground, a lot of people warned the church not to do it. But they did it anyway, and they built this massive 3-story school. They had a lot of church money, I guess, to build on. And I was a private school kid, so I got to go there. But my senior year, we did a production of A Christmas Carol. And if you're all familiar, A Christmas Carol does have many specters in it as well. And during this production, we experienced specters of our own. We had just the weirdest opening night. So before the show even started, outside the window in our courtyard, it started to snow. And it hadn't snowed in 14 years in San Antonio. But it happened to snow on the opening night of our freaking Christmas Carol, which, you know, snow's a big part of that story and the Christmas time. It was crazy. But during the performance, a lot of people started seeing all these weird different things. The guy who was playing Jacob Marley, he went to the bathroom after he was switching out of his Jacob Marley makeup. You know, he did his whole ghostly thing on stage, and then went to one of the bathrooms, and he took all his makeup off, and then went down looking for his costume. And when he looked back up at the mirror in the bathroom, he had 3 brown streaks just all the way down from his nose to like his bottom of his chin. Like somebody just took 3 fingers and smeared them all the way. He made sure beforehand that he had all his makeup off because he was about to put new costume pieces on. So he has no idea how it got there. It wasn't on his hands, wasn't anything like that. There was another girl, a high school girl, because he was in the bathroom, she had to go up to the second floor and then the third floor to use the bathroom because our bathroom system was super weird. The school was weird. But anyway, she had to go up to the third floor, which all the lights were off on the third floor. It's nighttime, 7, 8 o'clock at night. And this girl goes up to the bathroom and she hears knocking on the door, and she thinks it's someone messing with her, someone trying to trick her. So she like opens the door to like catch him. There's no one there. But it happens again. And she's getting really upset about it. But she can't see anyone. There's no one on the hall with her. All of the classroom doors are locked, so no one could have even like hidden anywhere. So she starts walking down the hallway to come back to the stairs so she can come back downstairs. And behind her, she hears like breathing. Like there's somebody walking up behind her, heavy like mouth breathing coming from behind her. So she thinks whoever was messing with her is this person who's about to like sneak up on her and scare her. And so she like waits it out so she doesn't scare him off too early. So it gets louder and louder. And she finally turns around and there's not a single person there, but the breathing is still right in her ear. And this freaks her out. She runs down the stairs and she comes in the middle of the show crying. And this was like a freshman girl. And I was like, oh gosh, what are the freshmen crying about now? Like what's the drama? But we start putting the pieces together and everyone is having weird stuff going on. Like costume pieces are going missing, certain props we can't find anywhere. And then we find them in different places. Our stage managers, they went around and they kept hearing bangs on some of the doors while they were looking around for whatever was causing this problem. And once they kept looking, they saw through the light of a window, laid out on the floor perfectly, spotlit by the light, there was a shirt that just said the words "lights out" on it, which freaked them out because the lights were also freaking out during this time. People kept having lights in their bathrooms as they were going to change just shut off in the middle of when they were changing. And some people even in the elevator saw like orbs. They saw orbs of light traveling up their bodies that weren't reflected off anything, that didn't show up in the reflection of the elevator either, and disappeared once they switched floors. So like all of this culminated in we finally, we finished the show and we were all like, what the heck's going on? I'm a senior at the time, so we go to investigate, and when we're up there, we're up on the third floor, kind of, like, oh, it's dark up here. And then our director comes and starts yelling at us. He's like, you're gonna freak out these kids that you're in the show with. You're gonna have to pay for their therapy. And we were like, oh, okay. And so he's like, come down with me right now. And so the rest of the group goes with him, but I didn't want to get in trouble. So I decided to go the long way around, which takes me through the dark hallway. So I start walking down there, just like walking in a crawl, essentially, just tiny steps going through. And I'm looking through every classroom door, but I almost don't even want to look because I don't want to find anything. But at the end of the hallway, I look at the window, the dark window, and with the light shining in, it looks like there's blood seeping down the window pane. So that freaked me out. So I turn around and I sprint back downstairs, get with the rest of the Christmas Carol crew, and we all kind of compare notes. That was kind of the last of it though, because then our biology teacher came in the next day and heard about all of this, and she started putting holy oil on each of the door frames. But we like to think that our Christmas Carol production was visited by more than just 3 specters, perhaps 6, perhaps 10. Who's to say?
Yeah. Windows don't normally ooze blood. That's a little bit unusual, and
Yeah.
almost as
Wait a second,
unusual.
that's not normal?
No, and almost as unusual is a biology teacher using holy water to a scientist using holy water to
Yep.
dry. I mean, that's a pretty intense story. And Eli T. Cash asks a question of you, Reese. He says, so the brown streaks thing happened in the bathroom?
Oh God, I see where you're going with this, Eli. Yes, it did.
And Geeky Gothic Gamer Girl, Lauren Knight, who is the co-host of Ice Cream Queens on the Cereal Box Network, said, personally, shadow mirror people have always creeped me out.
Oh, me too.
So I got to ask, Lauren, how often do you see shadow mirror people?
Can we address the next comment as well? Because somebody, it says Facebook user, said the voices just mean you have friends.
Yeah, that's about the voices Eli hears in his head.
Yes.
Gotcha.
It's true. It's true.
Now,
do you see a lot of? Yeah, that's fair. Always a friend, from the afterlife. Who, fine.
Keisha, have you ever seen shadow mirror people? Like shadow people in the mirror in behind you in the reflection?
So I don't know about you guys, but I know there's a lot of different versions of this. But Bloody Mary. So when I lived in Florida when I was little, like any normal group of friends, we did Bloody Mary in the bathroom. And I could almost swear that she actually showed up.
Yeah? Like, did you see her in the mirror?
When there's a lot of weird stuff that happened when I was in that house in Florida. It's Florida. Florida has some crazy stuff in general.
Yeah.
But I was younger. I was maybe 8 or 9, but I could have sworn that I saw her or at least something in the mirror. And I was in the room by myself because, of course, my friends were all like, you have to go in by yourself. And I was like, let's do this. I have no, so, but that is also around the same time where me and my sister and our friend were having a seance in our living room, like normal children do, right?
Of course. With your pop-up coffin.
And we had... Yes. So, those little temperature gauges that work with water and the little orb floats up and down with temperature changes. So we had that in the middle to see if anything changed while we were doing this seance. And so we're all sitting in a circle in our living room in Florida, and we start doing seance-y stuff. But we were young, so whatever we thought seance-y stuff was at the time, we were trying to talk to dead people and stuff. And as we were sitting there doing this, the temperature gauge not only changed, but it actually flew over. Like, not just fell, it flew over. It didn't break, surprisingly. But because those things are made out of glass, but they're pretty thick glass. But I just remember all of us looking at each other and went like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
We did not think that was going to be the outcome of what we were doing. Thankfully, we no longer live in that house in Florida. So,
But
the
Keisha,
bad juju there.
Carl Witzman makes an observation. So That's when it started.
What, me
did
being
you-
weird?
Yeah,
Because
or-
All
that
of it.
started when I was like born.
Came out straight that way.
So my grandma and my aunt were actually like they were witches. They practiced witchcraft.
Nice.
So I grew up with like my grandma, her favorite holiday was Halloween. Every year she would be a witch. We would do the whole haunted, like we would throw a haunted house for the entire area in our town. And like we'd have severed heads and stuff, normal things. So for me, my brain just thinks that that's normal things. Not real severed heads. I'm going to clarify that.
That's an important clarification for Keisha.
Very
Grace.
important.
You have to understand. If you had spent the last year with her, like we have watching,
Mhm.
you would understand that it's a
So
very
I've actually
real possibility.
I've actually seen somebody get beheaded before. So, like,
Beheaded.
What?
No,
Oh
so
my
What?
goodness.
one second, honey. 1 second. So I was actually I had
Dolores
some
like
friends.
that.
I had some friends come over and they helped me pick my apples for my apple trees. And we were talking about just random things that have happened in our youth. And we were talking about, some of the weirder things that happened. And I said, well, I actually saw somebody get decapitated. And they were like, oh my gosh, really? And I said, yeah. And I started to tell them the story. And they looked at me and they go, Keisha, I know you're not lying because I know who that was. And I was a little girl. I was only like, sorry about this. She's cute though. Dolores. So I was telling them, how it happened and everything like that. And they 100% said, I know exactly who you're talking about. I knew them. They were a friend. And I was only maybe, honey, calm. She wants to hear, so I'm going to take the headphones off. So, yeah, we were discussing this, and I was telling them how I had actually witnessed it happen, what happened, and they were like, oh, I actually knew who that was. So yes, differentiating between, honey, they can hear you. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
So you have to be quiet, okay? Thank you. But so differentiating between a real and a fake severed head is actually a thing that I need to do.
What happened to this man who was decapitated?
So me and my dad were. You good? Okay. Me and my dad were riding a bike, like our bikes. We rode our bikes everywhere because it was in the 90s, and that we didn't have the internet to just waste all of our time. Like we had dial-up internet, so not great. So we rode our bikes everywhere, and we were going down in our normal path, and so we got on this bridge, and we stopped to look over the bridge because we thought, oh, beautiful, whatnot, all this other stuff. And then when we stopped to look at the bridge, a young man who I learned later on was actually one of my friends from school's older brother. He was riding his dirt bike down on the train tracks, and somebody thought it was a good idea to. Yes, honey. I will plug you back in a second. Somebody thought it was a funny idea to put like a metal string across where he was riding his bike. So he went full force into the metal string, and so his helmet ended up over here and his body ended up over here.
Oh my gosh.
So if y'all want to know why I'm so weird, it's because I've had a weird life. Okay, Carl.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Well, so as you were talking about a seance, it reminded me of a fascinating story from my collegiate years. And let's see, we're getting some feedback. Is that coming from you, Reese? Yeah, it is. Okay, I just muted you for just a minute. So when I was in college, on the third floor of my dorm, a couple of guys down the hall decided one night they were going to break out and play with a Ouija board. Now, I got to tell you, I'm a believer in the paranormal, the supernatural, and divination of spirits is a big no-no in my book. So I'm not going to touch the Ouija board. I'm not going to be any part of it. But I was fascinated and I was curious. So I decided to just sit in the room and be a casual observer. And they're doing the Ouija board and they ask it the name and it spells out Tommy. Well, the window by where I was sitting had a lot of condensation on it. And so while they were all hyper focused on that Ouija board, with my finger, I just wrote backwards Tommy as if it had been written from the outside. Tommy. And I casually crossed to the other side of the room. And they're doing the Ouija board, Tommy, yes, no, no. And then one of the guys saw it and they flipped out and they ran out of the dorm room. And I said, no, guys, you can't leave the spirit like lingering. You got to come here and finish this. And I said, but you got to ask it for proof. So it wrote its name, but you got to ask for proof that it's real. And I said, I made this suggestion. I said, the bell tower, center campus, goes off every hour, but ask Tommy to make it ring at 4 past the hour. So instead of chiming at midnight, it's going to chime at 12:04. And that'll prove that this spirit is real. And so they do that, and then they finish, they put the thing away, and we're sitting there just kind of chewing the fat for a few minutes. And then the bells start chiming, and someone thinks to look at their watch, look at the clock, and it's 12:04. That whole floor cleared out. It was one of the scariest things I've ever experienced. And one of the funniest pranks I've ever played at the same time. I had nothing to do with the bell chimes, but it was hysterical to watch them flip out.
It's awesome.
Have you guys had any experiences with it like that where something started as a joke, but it turned serious? Keisha, you don't count. Because we know the answer for Keisha is yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe.
I'm trying to think. I think sometimes, like, I've had spiritual experiences that have started out. Oh, yeah. Like, so one of my friends used to, we used to joke with him because when he moved to Nashville, we would hang out at night. We'd do a lot of urban exploring. And when we were walking around the streets, the street lights would go out behind us. And he was like, that's not good. This happens all the time. Like every time I'm hanging out over here. And, like everywhere I go, like I think there is something that is like attached to me, and it'll attach to people who are around me too. And we're like, sure, dude. But after months of hanging out with this guy, when I'm alone or with other people, it would start happening to me too. And so I didn't believe it until I stood underneath like a street lamp and then spread my hand out towards it. And I was like, do it. And then the light went out the second I said that. And I was like, oh no, this thing has followed us. And we made a game driving around Nashville, just seeing how many would go out that we could spot as we drove by. So it's like a common thing for me and my friends now, whenever we see it happen, as we're driving to go, like, I saw that bastard. You can't pull any fast ones on me, we're always on the lookout for it. But it definitely started as something that we were like, this is ridiculous. But when it keeps happening and you keep noticing it, it really starts to freak you out.
Keisha,
Yeah.
have you had anything like that happen? And Dan
the time.
Hellyfield says Keisha always counts.
Thanks, Dan.
And Carl, talking about the Ouija board experience, says that would mess you up. Yes, it did. And Eli T. Cash, when I said, have you had anything like that happen where it started as a joke, but it became serious? He says, yes and yes. Keisha, what happened to you besides the guy getting decapitated and the pop-up coffin?
So I have actually, you guys know I have lots of random stories, but I believe I've told this story before on here. But I have a friend, go figure, from West Virginia. When I lived there, like, I pretty sure I was in a cult. It was a nice one. But me and one of my other friends from church had a sleepover one night. And our church is like, you have to collect all of your movies that aren't PG-13 and all of your music that isn't PG-13 or gospel music, and you have to burn it, and you have to. So, like, and like any...
Kind of like going to Lipscomb University, right, Reese?
Yeah, well, it was more like my home church in San Antonio. That's exactly how they were. My friends, we found they had these Harry Potter, like, anti-Harry Potter DVDs that the church would hand out that were specifically targeted against Harry Potter.
Don't get me wrong, I loved that church, and at that church, sidetrack real quick, somebody actually passed away in the pews at that church. And it was an older lady, and they were like, you know what? Let's keep going. She would want us to finish this. We were like doing a revival.
Oh my God.
Like that. And we were like, worshiping and stuff like that, and cried in the front. And she's just, chilling in the pew. But we finished service. That being said, so me and my friend from church, we had a sleepover, and we were at her house, and as we were sitting there, we decided I had made up some imaginary friends a couple years prior to freak out my little brother. Their names are George and Freddie. I used to live in the basement. It was my bedroom, and it was unfinished. It was really creepy. You had to go down these jaggedy stairs and everything like that to get down there. But when I was down there, my little brother would always come and bug me, and I'm not a very social person. So I made up these people, Freddie and George, and I said, hey, they eat little kids. Don't come down here. I don't want them to eat you, kind of thing. But as I spent the night at my friend's house from church, we were sitting there, and I was like, hey, would you like to meet some of my friends? And she said, okay. So we turned off the lights. We were holding hands, and we were sitting on the floor in her bedroom. And I was like, hey, Freddie, hey, George, my friend would like to meet you. Come out and, talk to us or something like that, or let us know you're here. And just about the time I said that, we're the only ones home at the time. She had a soda sitting up on her dresser, which was on the other side of the room, and it literally flew off the dresser and landed in front of us in the dark. And she flipped on the lights so fast, like that, like we were holding hands, so neither of us could have done it. but it flew in front of us and landed right in front of us, sitting up. Thankfully, it did not spill because that would have been a problem. But she turned on the light. She was like, "Oh my god!" And she's freaking out. To this day, when we talk to each other, she will go, "Hey Keisha, how you doing? Tell Freddie and George that I say hi and please don't kill me."
So,
Johnny.
No, I had it on mute. So, Carl Witzman, he will be the one to share this with us, and I'm getting echo from you, Reese. I just muted you for a minute. Carl, you'll be the one to tell us. There is a phenomenon when someone believes something strongly enough, or enough people believe it, that it actually becomes manifest in reality. Do you know what that's called,
apparently
Keisha?
Freddie and George eat.
That's a tulpa. That's a tulpa. That's what that's called.
Topa?
Tulpa. Tulpa. I don't know if you guys saw that. My light just went out. The street light just went out.
Fantastic. I didn't see it. I was looking at Carl's comment.
Carl said, summoning demons, that's fine. Spilling a cola, that's bad.
I think it was actually a Dr. Pepper, so that's even worse.
And Eli was just about to talk about tulpas. So that's what that's called. When you believe something strongly enough, or enough people believe it, it actually manifests into reality.
Cool. I just made up 2 child killers. Awesome. Thanks, guys. You're welcome. They eat the children, so technically that's killing them, right? Yeah.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, unless they're like, it's like a
just
wolf
open your mouth
where, yeah,
child,
full engulf, just sitting in the stomach, chilling out.
Don't. Okay. Well, nothing will eat you, honey.
Dan Holyfield says it could be worse, spilling an adult beverage.
That's just sacrilege, I think, or whatever the word would be. I don't know what it's called.
So, Reese, believe it or not, we only have 3 minutes left. This hour has gone by in a blink of an eye. So you said you had another story based on Russian folklore. Share it with us.
Oh my goodness. So this one, while it's kind of a bit of a bigger story, it definitely is one of the scariest stories that I've read. It was an account of a place in Russia, in Siberia, called Lake Baikal. Have either of you heard of Lake Baikal? Yeah, it's the deepest freshwater lake in the world, about 5,300 feet deep. It has 20% of the world's freshwater, 17 to 1,800 endemic species, which means those animals only live in that area. It's a very cool spot. The weather does really weird stuff, like rocks will freeze on top of the ice, and then the wind will weather underneath them. So it makes these little rock statues that are just floating above the ice. Super weird if you look it up. But specifically, Russian folklore about Lake Baikal is that the reason there are so many species that are only found in that area is that there is something trapped at the bottom of the lake that is calling the other animals to it. It's this kind of spirit that has been locked underneath the water that has gotten all of these populations of people to settle around this really inhospitable lake. And even though it is this freshwater, this life-giving force, at the bottom, something, completely evil lies underneath. So legend says that there was this VHS tape that was made when these Russian scientists, these cosmonauts, they decided to make a high-pressure submarine that could go down to the bottom of the lake during the Cold War. Now, the scientists, once they were down there in their findings, as they got further and further down, they started finding weirder and weirder stuff. There were these like squid that could break up on top of the ice and then crawl around and then hop back underneath the ice. There were like crabs as big as cars, just casually kind of strolling around on the bottom of the floor. There were these microplankton, these like zooplankton that would eat old whales and they would attach to the whale as they were eating it, and so the way that it looked like a skeleton of a whale would be swimming through the water, but it's actually being piloted by all of these plankton who are slowly consuming the bones. Like super creepy stuff, like super interesting. But the final thing, they hit the bottom, the 5,300 feet of Lake Baikal, and they realize that it has a false bottom, and there's actually a layer of brine and like sand over everything. And so they go further with the submarine, and beneath that the water goes for another few miles. And there is when they spot in the video this massive serpent, this just miles long beast that's trapped down at the bottom, and it looks at the submarine and all of the scientists in it, and they instantly start freaking out. These scientists, they head back up to the surface, and they described, having felt like they were staring in the eyes of the devil. And almost every single one of these scientists, went on to kill themselves after this whole expedition, just because there was this force that they think would be released at like tribulation, this giant demon snake kind of stuck at the bottom of the water, that once global warming, once things start thawing and the lake starts changing up, we have no idea when it could be released. It's definitely a bit legendary, a bit out there, but the idea of a giant serpent in Lake Baikal is one that's been talked about for centuries.
So, Reese, you have just started me down a Yeti hole of Google research. Now
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to take a deep dive into Lake Baikal.
Please do. It's a very interesting spot, and I obviously can't confirm if any of these animals, these species are out there. These are just stories I've read from Russian scientists from Russian people who inhabit the lake, people who claim to have visited the lake, things like that.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh, I know why we're getting that echo. Take your hand away from your... Oh, nope, that's not it. That's weird. I think there's a ghost in the machine. So we're already at the hour. So we're going to go ahead and call it a night, Keisha. I want to thank Reese for being with us. Reese, we're going to have to make you a regular guest on the show because you brought a lot of value.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. And we've got... Oh, Dan Holyfield says, my woo-woo meter just pegged out. Well, LOL. I don't know what that means. But anyway, Keisha, tell everyone where they can follow, find, and support you.
Well, honestly, if you start following me in real life, it's really boring. But online, you could pretty much follow me on... What, Johnny?
No, it's not.
I spent all day canning food and hanging laundry out on the line.
That's not boring.
I also
Nobody
crocheted.
does that anymore.
I also watched 2 of the Lord of the Ring movies because I'm me. But so yes, if you look up online Keisha Acuff or Acuff Creations right here, you could pretty much find me anywhere. I also do the whole write books thing. So if you want to go on Amazon and support me, I'm super poor and could use the money right now.
Speaking of which, this is her book. Him. For those of you who are just listening, that was a great video. with no narration. Something's choking me. Oh my God. It's him. But
Bye, Johnny.
George.
check out Keisha's book, Him, available on Amazon or wherever books are sold.
Also, if y'all have never listened to my trailer with headphones on, do it because it makes it seem much more creepy. It is about a murderer, so I mean, all creepy. Go for it, guys.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. And of course, down at the bottom, the banner is running. If you love the show and you love our shows in general, contribute at buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod. If you're watching us on Facebook right now, you can actually click give stars, and you can donate to our project directly in Facebook by giving us stars. But above and beyond all of that, I mean, your contributions help us create quality broadcasting. And some would argue, well, your broadcasts aren't quality, Johnny. Well, that's where you can help. Contribute even more generously to help us improve what we do just for you. We'll make it better just for you. But you got to step up and contribute. Right, Keisha?
Yeah, because Johnny keeps complaining that I need a new camera.
New camera, new lights, backdrop, all of the above.
I have a light. I just don't want to look like this the entire show.
That's because it's not the proper kind of light.
More exciting that way.
It is a little bit exciting that way. But we need to invest in some lights for Keisha and a backdrop for Willow. And there's all kinds of stuff that we want to do. And you can help make that a reality. But above and beyond all of that, if you like the show, like it, comment, share, whatever platform you're watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, subscribe, follow, ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And tell 200-300 of your closest friends and family to come share the fun. And until the next time, keep it spooky, keep it scary, and we'll see ya. Yes, Keisha?
Did we say where we can find Reese?
Reese, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram. You can just search my name. I'm still working on making my brand, my Reese brand. So it's not as much yet. You can see my Mothman pictures of me kissing the statue if you'd like. But
Beautiful.
Yep, that's what you can find.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Reese, and thank you for watching. And continue to comment. We will address your comments as we're able. And until the next time, love you, mean it. We'll catch you next time in the Cryptid Crunch Treehouse. Good night. Mwah.
Bye. Have a good night. Nice to meet you.